said, it costs you $950,000 every single year. You don't know how to make $1 million a year. And so the question is, what is the value of that skill? So when I started my first gym, I didn't actually start the gym because I quit my job and I drove across the country and I showed up at a guy's house that I had Googled on the internet who said he was good at running gyms. His name was Seven Figure Sam. All right. And so he was a gym guru. And so I showed up at his actual gym unannounced and I was like, hey, I'm here to be mentored and learn. And he was like, I'm working. I really don't know who you are. And like, maybe we'll talk tomorrow or something. And I was like, okay. And he's like, where are you staying? And I said, I don't know. Haven't decided yet. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, that's my car. I just drove here and all my stuff's in there. And he's like, you have nowhere to live? I was like, I figured I would just figure it out when I got here. And so he offered me to stay at his house that night, which was unbelievably generous. And maybe my salesmanship got him, who knows? But within a few weeks, he had a meetup of all the gyms that were kind of like following his little system for how he ran his personal training studio and boot camp. And I got to go as a 22-year-old, and I paid to have access to this community of gym owners. And they were all going around talking about what was going good and what was going wrong in the business. And when it got to me, I was like, well, okay, so I want to open a location, and this is kind of what I was thinking about my model, and this is what I was thinking about price points. And they were like, wrong, wrong. Here's why that's not going to work. Here's why that's not going to work. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is where I was going to buy equipment. They're like, don't buy there. That's retail. You can get it from secondhand over here, and it's literally a tenth of the price. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's awesome. Okay, great. I was like, well, I was thinking about getting this type of thing. They're like, no, girls will eat shit on that and they'll fall. Like, I've had 2 girls do it. Don't worry about it. Like, you're not going to use it. But you can get sandbags. You can use them all the time, and they're super cheap. And if you have to replace them, you can. But you can use them for like hundreds of exercises. And I was like, great, I'll do that. And then I was like, okay, so I was thinking about this kind of square footage for my facility. They're like, dude, you don't need all that. You can cut that in half. And I was like, okay, we'll cut that in half. And I was like, I'm willing to pay $2 a foot. And they were like, no, never go over 150. And I was like, okay, never go over 150. And so like in a matter of a day, I got to take like all of the knowledge of all of these guys of the mistakes that they'd all made with their gyms. And I started my first gym just on their backs. And so how much was that worth to me? Years. And so for me, I have always been willing to pay in whatever currency was required to get knowledge that I don't know.